What you're about to see is a story of survival against all the odds. Imagine hurtling down a track at over 400 kilometers an hour, and your car explodes into a twisting mass of burning metal. There's no time to think, you just react, relying on your experience as a driver to get you through a living hell. These are the stories of people who race cars and the people they love. You're about to witness some of the most incredible crashes that these drivers have experienced. So sit back and fasten your seatbelts, because it's going to be a bumpy ride on crashes you won't believe. Dragsters, the fastest accelerating vehicles on land. They rocket down the quarter-mile strip that some people call the highway to hell. These are not the safest cars in the world, but when you want to be the fastest, you sometimes have to pay the price. And paying the price is what these drivers did on this fateful day. Watch the car on the right as it bursts into flames. The driver, blinded by the intense heat, careens across the strip and explodes into the other car, blowing them both apart. With nothing left but a roll cage and a motor, these human fireballs hang on for dear life. Struggling with his seatbelt, the driver makes a desperate attempt to escape the inferno. And within seconds, the emergency fire crew is on the scene. And the driver is probably thanking his lucky stars. The crash rescue team doused the driver with foam to extinguish the burning nitro and oil. It appears the driver is okay, and that his roll cage and protective suit have saved his life. And it looks like a brush fire has started from a burning trail of fuel these cars have left behind. Just take a look at what's left of these cars. They were traveling at 200 miles an hour when this crash happened.
My words were to myself, I'm in trouble here, and I didn't think I was going to see anybody ever again. What do? Put your head down between your legs and cry about it? You're in a car, you're strapped in with 7 belts, you're doing over 200 miles an hour. All I can do is try and stop and hopefully walk away from it, or an ambulance take me away, but still live through it. But at the time, yeah, I've heard stories about how you can see Elvis and Marilyn Monroe. I think I had a conversation with them all.
Let's take another look at this horrific crash. The car on the right bursts into flames at 200 miles an hour. Losing control, he smashes into his opponent and blows his car to pieces, continuing on like a shooting star. Just one of the fantastic stories of survival you'll see on crashes you won't believe. And how about these bikes? These are full-size motorbikes at this indoor track. Although the track is small, these bikes are powerful. Keep your eye on the girl in the green, number 97, as she bounces off the wall, hangs on, and then... The officials stop the race and the crash team rushes to her side. She seems okay, but they call in the medics just to be sure. But amazingly, she has no broken bones or major cuts or bruises. She must be made of steel. Take another look at this in slow-mo. That's a 400-pound motorbike and 2 riders on top of her. Now that's gotta hurt. Now let's go to the stock car races. They call it Rolling Thunder. These modified sedans are speeding around the track at about 250 kilometers an hour. Souped up and tuned to perfection, they race at incredible speeds, only inches apart. And all it takes is one small nudge to lose it. Then you're on. What an incredible crash. This driver's in trouble, serious trouble. It doesn't take long for the crash crew to reach him, but he's trapped in the car, and it's going to take a bit of work to get him out. Let's take another look at this horrific crash in slow motion. It doesn't take much to get a chain reaction going at this sport. And when something like this happens, all you can do is hang on and pray while your car flies through the air with the greatest of ease. In fact, this crash holds the world record for the most flips in the air. Let's have a look at it from another angle. Have you ever seen a car flip like that? The safety crew finally get the driver out, but he's not in the best of shape. Incredibly, he ends up with just a few bruises in the black eye. A testament to the strict safety guidelines of the sport. Coming up, the dragster that splits in two. Motorcycle riders who become motorcycle sliders. Dirt track cowboys who are out of control. And a funny car that becomes a fiery hell. All on crashes you won't believe. Dragsters. They may be the fastest accelerating vehicles on land. But that doesn't seem to bother this little fellow. From 0 to over 300 miles an hour in 4 seconds.
Go to the floor with the throttle. You got this hand on the steering wheel. As soon as you hit about 85 or 9,000 reels, put it in second gear. 8 or 9,000 in revs again. High gear. Then hold on with both hands. As soon as you go through the traffic, push the clutch in, let off, get on the brakes, kill the switch, throw the parachute all at the same time. You go from 200 and probably 26 miles an hour to maybe 80 miles an hour in less than probably 1 second.
Faster than a space shuttle. And at that speed, anything can happen. And happen it did on this fateful afternoon for these two drivers. In fact, they nearly killed our cameraman. Then goes to pick up his camera, cleans the mud off the lens, and runs toward the wrecked vehicle where the emergency crews are already at work. The driver seems to have escaped unharmed, but his son is a little upset. Let's have a look at what happened to the other car. It looks like the driver has a problem with his neck. But otherwise he seems okay. Shaken but not stirred. You gotta have nerves of steel. Hitting the wall at 250 kilometers an hour and walking away.
Let's have a sit down.
Oh, right, okay. I still can't believe I came round. It was going so well.
When that happened, I thought to myself, there's a cameraman up there.
Yeah.
And the first thing I done when I ran down the track was looked over there because I couldn't see him.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was just coming straight towards me. And I ran. Yeah, it was just... Which car lost it first? The car closest to me, and they were just heading down the sort of railing straight towards me, and there were sparks flying, and that's when I decided I should leave the area.
So everything's okay.
Yeah, I tried to stand in Mark's lane, but I just couldn't get it out. You're all right, mate. I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
What's your son's name? Luke. Luke? Mate, Dad's only one piece, that's amazing.
One of the most fascinating races to watch is the sidecars. Bullets that balance on the brink of disaster at every turn. It's no wonder that the riders can hang on with the incredible G-forces that they have to sustain. But then again, sometimes they don't hang on. The driver's pinned under the sidecar, but he seems okay. Let's have another look at that in slow-mo. A couple of big bounces leave the passenger with a couple of nasty bruises. And a long walk home. Coming off a bike at 200 kilometers an hour can really hurt. Remember, you don't have the protection of a roll cage or even a seatbelt. Nothing except a leather suit and a helmet to protect you from the outside world that has suddenly become very hostile. And that leather suit will go pretty thin when you become a human cannonball. Not to mention your flying motorbike that now wants to take dancing lessons with you. Motorcycles. 2 wheels, a powerful motor, and a rider who guides them around the track with precision balance and nerves of steel. But sometimes, fate has other plans, and the bike has a mind of its own. Motorcycle riders who become motorcycle sliders. Now that's gotta hurt. But when you want to be the fastest, you sometimes have to pay the price. What an incredible crash. Look out. Coming up, tearing apart a concrete light pole, somersaulting sprint cars, and the highway to hell for one unlucky driver. full-on crashes you won't believe. Some of the most spectacular crashes take place at the drag strip. This is not a crash, but a clutch explosion. Too much power for the clutch to handle, and boom. And what about this guy? Losing control of his funny car at 200 miles an hour, smashing into the wall and sliding down the track, pinned under the car. The rescue team frantically tries to get him out, but little things like this don't bother this guy. He's a modern-day hero. Dirt track racing. It's been around since the Flintstones. These methanol-burning V8s deliver 700 horsepower and easily reach speeds of 160 kilometers an hour on these tiny dirt tracks. The wings on the top force the wheels down, deep into the dirt for added traction. In fact, if you drove these cars fast enough, you could drive them upside down on the ceiling and they wouldn't fall off. Even so, these sprinters are famous for tumbling out of control. And at 160 k's an hour, that can get pretty wild. Dirt track cowboys who are out of control. Well, that was fun. Out goes the steering wheel. There's no time to think. You just react. You don't see it often, but this car's on fire. Luckily, the driver makes his escape. This driver's not too happy about this race at all. Sometimes things can get right out of control, like when this driver's gas pedal gets stuck right to the floor. And look at this, the throttle's still stuck. He can't stop. He does a wheel stand, loses control. The throttle gets stuck and he can't stop. Check out the official Diving for Cover. Welcome to 5.5 tons of pure racing muscle. These super trucks are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're used strictly for racing, burning down the track at speeds of up to 160 kilometers an hour, with the power of 1,300 horses. Imagine trying to control one of these monsters. Imagine losing control of one of these monsters.
Here's Smith as the officials are getting him out.
Now watch the black truck in the rear. As he tries to pass the truck in front, they tangle, and the bumper is pulled off the front of the truck. The truck is now uncontrollable and unstoppable. Look out! 5.5 tons of solid truck can certainly mess up a wall. The driver probably isn't feeling too much pain, except for his bank account. Now there's a few $1,000 worth of repairs. Coming up, the funny car that's out of control, and the stock car race that should never have happened. All on crashes you won't believe. The drag races again, and this funny car seems to be doing pretty well. Until he loses control and the throttle gets stuck. Smashes through a fence and plows right on into the neighbouring field. He still can't stop and flies over the field at an alarming rate. Emergency crews try to chase him, but he's travelled a full 2 kilometres through the field before smashing head-on into a tree. Our cameraman was able to keep up with the action, although a little out of breath.
think about winning. I don't think about dying. When he's at the starting grid, my knees are trembling and my heart's racing.
I know I could die, but I don't think about it.
And then every lap, I wait and see if he comes around. And one time, he didn't come around. And I knew right away.
One time, in a crash, I was turning over and over and over, and the car was bursting into flames all around me. All I could think about was my wife and kids, and how much they meant to me.
Back at the stock car races, the cars are eating each other for breakfast. There's no mercy as these drivers crave victory like nothing else. But this is what happens when victory takes a backseat to disaster. On crashes you won't believe. Check out the red car on the far side of the track. Lucky there's a wall of tyres, or this car would have been eating the trees. Coming up, the super trucks that have super crashes. And the monster truck that becomes a monster headache. On crashes you won't believe. You're about to witness one of the most spectacular crashes in drag racing history. Here's a dragster that is about to split in two at 250 miles an hour, although the driver doesn't know that yet. Let's look at that in slow motion. He loses control, starts going sideways, deploys his parachute to slow down, flips over and cracks in two. Getting a nasty bump on the head in the process. Incredibly, the driver walked away. And here's another spectacular crash. Imagine blowing both your tires at nearly 300 miles an hour. There's not a lot you can do, except hang on and pray. Watch both tires blow and the motor explode. He loses control and bites the dirt.
That's a horrific one. I'm going down there.
You think it's a shootout quick enough, that's all? Fucking what are you... I know the tyre. You alright? Mate, it felt like as soon as you got a second. This one's back door, mate.
Well, all I can say, it was fantastic from my side of it, and it should have been from theirs, and it's a big shame that we can't come back. But actually, I apologise to Sano too, because you've seen a few of them go over now. But that's the way of drag racing. You just don't know what's going to happen. Actually, it was really a hard ride. It was a bit wobbly, probably half track onwards, but I knew the tyre blew. It was just like a bomb going off. I knew it was a tyre. As soon as the tyre blew, it was just out of control. And very hard to, it just moved so quick. I sort of pulled the parachutes while I was upside down. I don't think they done anything, but that's all I could do. There was nothing much at all I could do. I tried to correct it a couple of times, and it was just too far. It was just too far gone, and that's the result.
It's super truck action again, and these mean mothers are nothing to tangle with. The drivers know their stuff. Night or day, they can whip these monsters through a corner like nothing else. But sometimes the inevitable happens, and they face destiny like any other driver. Their huge shell protecting them. Or does it? Let's have another look at that. Now that is an expensive crash. Now here's a truck that's about to hit the cameraman.
The gears and slowed down with the brakes, but I couldn't do anything about it. Just stayed on full throttle.
Well, I knew it was going to be close, but there was nowhere to go, so I just held the shot, and when the glass from the windscreen started hitting me, I ducked.
The driver emerged almost unscathed from the 5.5-ton truck.
Fairly sore and shaking. Had a sore leg, but I was sort of more worried about the truck.
The cameraman went right back to work.
I was glad it wasn't going to happen again. When they went sideways in the corner the next time around, I was a bit worried. Well, it's not the first time, and being a cameraman probably won't be the last, but that's all in a day's work, really.
Now for a bit of fun, monster style. We're not exactly sure how you win this, but we think you have to crush the cars. Turn around and park on top of the cars before the other guy. And the bigger your wheels are, the easier it is. To crush the cars, that is. But maybe not to turn around. This driver's in real trouble. His cabin's on fire and he's trapped inside. Manages to get him out, but he's not in very good shape. this in just a few seconds. Coming up, the explosion from hell and the rider who thinks he's a model on thrashers you won't believe. Check out this cool 57 Chevy. Little does he know he's about to become a human fireball in one of the most incredible brushes with death that any driver can experience.
I'm running over.
In front of his horrified family,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. No. Just worried they're getting out. I'm fine. Oh, no, I didn't get knocked about or anything. Yeah. I thought I was going to choke on some fumes, but... No, I'm fine. I didn't know, I couldn't see where I was. I had no idea where I was. No, that was certainly more in Bali. Yeah, I'm worried about the car.
This dragster, the famous world champion Jim Reed, nearly losing his life as his car tears through a concrete pole at over 200 miles an hour.
Belief at how he walked away from Sunday's crash at Willowbank. His top-fuel dragster, which runs on a nitromethane mixture, slewed out of control and snapped a 40-centimetre thick concrete pole as it burst into flames.
Am I right in saying that you couldn't even look at the footage for months after that?
I didn't want to look at it. I guess my biggest fear back then, it didn't bother me. That bothered me. That the crash didn't bother me. There's double Dutch, isn't it? I didn't want to look at it because, my mind was trying to tell me walk away from this, and I didn't want to. And I was fighting with myself over it for a long, long time because I always swore that if ever I had one bad crash and walked away, that I would walk away. And I didn't want to do that. I was going back on something I'd always promised myself.